Hare Krishna, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to our online Sangha. Today we have a special guest, and I'm happy to introduce you, our guest, Mahasundari Radhika Devi Dasi. Radhika Devi Dasi came upon Krishna consciousness in 2012 at ISKCON Punjabi Bhag in New Delhi. Some of you might know that in New Delhi area, to my knowledge, at least about 9 temples are there. That means not within the city itself, in surrounding areas. She got initiated, she took initiation from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj Goswami in India in 2014. And she was working as a corporate trainer and a consultant for automotive manufacturing industries. She worked in India for about 10 years in that field. In March of 2014, she and her husband moved to Winnipeg, Canada. And currently she is working in motor coach industry as a quality specialist. So she has a wonderful association of devotees in Winnipeg, particularly Vrinda Prabhu. So I encourage you all to listen to her carefully and please, if possible, give your feedback. That's one way of encouraging our guest speakers, and she may feel like coming back again to give us another talk. So I request you, please feel free to give your feedback. If you want to have some clarification, you can give a clarification in some way. Please participate. I now request Mahasundari Radhika Devi to take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, am I audible to every devotee?
Yes.
So, I feel very humbled, very grateful that I have been chosen for this service. It's my great pleasure to serve the devotees by speaking on Srimad Bhagavad-Gita. So, we'll start with the Mangalacharan so that we can seek blessings from the senior Vaishnavas and Acharyas so that I can speak, I can serve serve the devotees through the medium of this class. Okay.
Mother, you are a bit faint. You might.
Please. Hare Krishna. Is it better now, or should I change something?
I think you're okay now. You were just faint a bit earlier.
Better? Okay, all right. So I'll try to speak louder so that it's audible. So we'll start with the Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhambitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpati Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapt Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much for joining in this class, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak, to serve the devotees in such a humble way. It's my great pleasure, my great fortune that I've been given this service. And please bless me, please pray for me that whatever I speak on this occasion, during this class, this can go deeper into my heart. I have no qualification to speak on this, on Bhagavad-Gita, and to give the class, but in a mood of service, I'm trying to do this. So please pray for me. My respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas. Vancha kaltarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. Hare Krishna. So, as we know today, the topic which have been given is the practical lessons from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So, what we can learn from Bhagavad Gita, there are unlimited lessons we can learn from this. But today we will try to talk about few lessons from few shlokas. Those are very essential, which can help us in our daily life, in our corporate life, in our professional life, in our personal life. So we will try to talk about it. So Bhagavad Gita, as we know, is there are unlimited glories of Bhagavad Gita. We cannot even describe that. But Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Upanishads. So that's the Gita Upanishad. So the whole knowledge Krishna has given us in this great scripture. So if we see the Bhagavad Gita, it has been spoken to Arjuna, which is on the battlefield. So just like Arjuna, we all have our own battles in this world. Being in office, in the families, wherever we are, we can see an Arjuna within us. So we have our own battles. We are basically standing on battlefield of Kurukshetra, within our heart, outside, everywhere. So when Krishna has spoken this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, so basically it has been spoken to us, and Krishna has given the messages to come out of those problems, to win the war, to win the battle, which we are facing in our day-to-day lives. So we get very demotivated sometimes and very discouraged to actually fight, and we want to give up. But there comes Bhagavad Gita, which tells us not to give up. Krishna is giving us a message that we have to come victorious. We have to get up and fight with all these battles which we are facing in our day-to-day life. So starting with that, Bhagavad Gita, we all know that there are 700 shlokas in 18 chapters which have been given. So out of those 700 shlokas, if we see that little analysis, there are 574 shlokas spoken by Krishna, 84 shlokas spoken by Arjuna, 41 shlokas spoken by Sanjaya, and 1 shloka spoken by Dhritarashtra. So the very first shloka Dhritarashtra has spoken, and after that he didn't speak at all. That was the only 1 shloka where Dhritarashtra said Dhritarashtra uvacha dharam kshetre kushukshetre. So only 1 shloka Dhritarashtra has said. So very first thing which we can understand from that is, we will talk about it in detail later on also, that Dhritarashtra is a very patient listener. May not be very good listener, but at least he is a patient listener. 1 shloka he spoke, and rest 699 shloka he has just heard. So we can learn this quality. We can understand that how patient listener Dhritarashtra is. So on Sanjay's part, he is very smart. Dhritarashtra just asked him 1 question, that tell me how my sons are doing on the battlefield. He just wanted to know what his sons are doing. And Sanjaya, being a very smart aristocrat, very smart counselor, to answer that 1 question, he spoke the whole Bhagavad Gita to him. So he gave Dhritarashtra what he actually wanted to tell him, what right gyan, what right knowledge he wanted to give Dhritarashtra. So we can understand that Dhritarashtra was a very patient listener there. So as we all know, Bhagavad Gita starts with the very first shloka where Dhritarashtra is asking, Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharam Kshetre Kurukshetre Samveta Yuyutsava Mamaka Pandavaishcheshva Kim Kuruvata Sanjaya. So Dhritarashtra is asking, O Sanjaya, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the place of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do? So very first verse teaches us something. There Dhritarashtra is saying Mamaka Pandavashtra. So basically he is bifurcating between my sons and the sons of Pandu. He could have said what our sons are doing, what all of my sons are doing, but he didn't say that. He said Mamaka, my sons, especially the Kauravas and Pandava. So what we learn from here is that sometime even in our family, and if we talk about our professional life, in our corporate culture also, everywhere, do we have this wicked mentality of Dhritarashtra in us also? Here Dhritarashtra is showing his wicked mentality of bifurcating. He is not considering Pandavas as his own sons also. That's why he's saying Mamaka Pandava. So the wicked mentality of seeing everybody different, that this is mine, this is his, this is mine, the other person is different, this is my children, he is my son and he is my sister's son, or he is somebody else. So this wicked mentality is actually little against or is a hindrance in our devotional life, in our professional life, in our personal life. So we should stay away from this wicked mentality. Later on in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna again says that Pandita Samdarshina, a good devotee, a pure devotee, he sees everybody on the same platform. He understands everybody as his own because he can see that one common soul, the living entity in all of them. So if we talk about family life, so if we are talking to our kids that they are your uncle's sons, they are their uncle's children, what they do and what you did, so we are putting this bifurcating mentality in them, so which is actually a Dhritarashtra mentality. So similarly, if we see in the corporate culture, in our professional life also, if you heard about the teamwork or the good organizational models, it's basically, it's to kill this mentality there also. When we say that in my office that this is my team, this is sales team, this is marketing team, this is quality team. So when we bifurcate that way, our goals are very different. We are not able to serve our customers even in professional life. So in professional life also, it's very important that we look at one common goal, we look at one good overall company, that what my contribution is towards the whole company. Similarly, in the family, it should not be that this is my area, this is my own boundary, and this is only my responsibility. I done this, and after that I'm free. I don't bother if the whole house is good or not. If I have done my sadhana, I don't care what my spouse sadhana is good or not, because this is mine, this is mamaka. So this mentality is a hindrance in spiritual life also. So we should be getting away from this mentality. We should not have this Dhritarashtra mentality. This is the very first lesson we learned from Bhagavad Gita, that this bifurcating mentality, looking everybody in a different way, looking everybody as a separated way, the separatism should not be there. We need to look everybody as a part and parcel of Krishna, and they should all be they should all be mine. not a bifurcating thing. So very first lesson we can think that we should take ownership, we can take responsibility. When we when we look at Bhagavad Gita, it's often asked that for whom Bhagavad Gita has been spoken. So maybe I can answer, oh, Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,200 years ago for Arjuna. But if we go a little deeper, no, it's not for Arjuna. It is for us. But even if we go deeper, it's not for us. It's spoken for me. It's spoken for myself. So this mentality we can apply, that the rules and regulations, when it comes to rules and regulation, it's all meant for me. But the other people, I should give them complete respect, because they are all part and parcels of Krishna, and Krishna is mine. So this wicked mentality should be left behind, and we should take ownership and responsibility wherever we are. We are in office, we are in our professional life, we are in personal life. The ownership and responsibility is very important. So that's the very first thing we can understand from the very first verse of Bhagavad Gita. So now Sanjay begins when Dhritarashtra asks that what my sons are doing and the Pandavas are doing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Dharamkshetra. So what they are doing. So Sanjay starts speaking. So after that, Dhritarashtra doesn't speak. On the other side, if we see a little background of first chapter, the whole first chapter has been spoken by Arjuna. The whole chapter, Arjuna is speaking. Arjuna is giving his doubts, and Arjuna is saying, oh Krishna, I am not going to fight. And he gives various reasons. He gives 5 different types of reasons that why I don't want to fight. There are my near and dear ones. There will be whole destruction of the dynasties. So all these things Arjuna says. And finally he says that no, I'm not able to fight Krishna. Very important thing we can understand again, Krishna was there with Arjuna. And even when Arjuna said, I'm not going to fight, when Krishna gave him Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, and finally he told Arjuna that now you do what you wish to do. In the whole scenario, Krishna did not fight for Arjuna. It's not that Krishna said, okay, you are not going to fight, okay, go and sit and relax. I will fight for you. No, Krishna didn't say that. Krishna said, okay, this is the way by which I'm clarifying your doubts. This is your doubt. This is the answer. This is the doubt. This is the answer. But Krishna didn't fight for Arjuna, where Krishna was with Arjuna physically there. Similarly, in our own battles, in our own areas, in our own life, Krishna is not going to fight for us. He's there for us. He is giving us the guidance, but he's not going to do action for us. So what the lesson is basically that Krishna will take care, Krishna will protect us, Krishna will guide us, but we have to do our efforts. It's not that at the end I leave everything on Krishna and we try to put all our worries, all our burdens on Krishna. Oh Krishna, you do whatever you want to do. I'm not going to do any action. So we try to get into inaction. That's not correct. Krishna is not going to fight for us. Krishna is not going to do our efforts. Our efforts we have to do. No. So let's take an example of our sadhana. We know that we have to get out of this material world. Srila Prabhupada taught us that this material world is not a place for a gentleman. We should get out of it. We have to utilize this human life, and we need to get out of this cycle of birth and death. We need to go back to Godhead. Yes, we know all that. But for that, efforts are our own efforts. We have to do efforts. Krishna is not going to chant our rounds. Krishna is not going to read for us. Krishna is not going to, without our actions, Krishna is not going to just sit and purify us. No. If there will be my efforts, then Krishna is there to protect me. Then Krishna is there to uplift me. But first step I have to take. We cannot get away from our efforts. So if in my sadhana, if I have to get purified, I need to do efforts. I need to chant my rounds attentively. I need to read the scriptures. I need to serve the Vaishnavas. The efforts are in my control. The desire is in my control. I must do that. It's not that I just say that, oh, Krishna, please purify me. That's it. That's enough. No, but I have to make efforts to get up early in the morning. I cannot simply sleep and after that ask Krishna, oh, Krishna, you purify me. It's not going to work. So the efforts are important and Krishna will not give us a concession in our efforts. We must do our part and then Krishna will take care. We need to try our best and then the rest can be left on Krishna. Let's try our best and leave the rest. So that's the second thing we can learn from here, that although Krishna was there with Arjuna, Krishna didn't fight Arjuna's battle. Arjuna had to do his battle later on. He took guidance from Krishna, but Krishna is not going to take away the efforts we have to do. So there is very nice saying that if we have to get dirty, what we have to do? Nothing. Just sit and you will get dirty. But if we have to get clean, yes, there are efforts required. We need to get up and take bath. So to get dirty, there is no effort required. Similarly, to stay in this material world, nothing is required. Just sit idle. But if we have to get out of this material world, if we have to get purified, even if in our professional life, if we have to get uplifted, yes, we need to do our efforts. So that was the second thing. Moving forward, then the whole first chapter, Arjuna spoke what were his doubts. And in the first chapter, very interestingly, Krishna didn't speak even a single word. He didn't speak at all. Why? And it was not a very peaceful environment. It's not that they were sitting in a boardroom and they were ordering some snacks and some beverages and they were on a chit chat. No, it was a battlefield. It was not a peaceful environment. The arrows were showering from all the sides. It was the big armies. The biggest war, biggest battle was about to begin. And in that crisis time, Krishna paid attention. Krishna listened to Arjuna. Why? Why Krishna did that? Krishna could have easily said that, oh Arjuna, this is not the time for your doubts. We have 18 days war. So let's do one thing. You fight right now. And in the evening, we will sort out this thing. We will sit together and I will clarify your doubts. He didn't do that. He listened. Why did he listen? Why didn't he speak a word, even a single word in first chapter? Because Krishna is super hit, fantastic and amazing listener. So that's the third thing we can learn from Bhagavad-Gita. We haven't even gone out of first chapter and we have third lesson here, that Krishna is amazing listener. So we should develop this quality of being a patient and attentive listener. So what Krishna did in first chapter, basically, Krishna let Arjuna to puke out, to vomit all the doubts, everything what he had in his mind. Because when Arjuna spoke everything and Krishna listened very peacefully, very empathetically, and he gave attention to Arjuna, that was the time when Krishna made a bond. Being parents and children relationship, any relationship we talk about, even at our office, our boss and the subordinate, if we are the boss to our subordinate. So the very important thing is that we listen. No? When we listen very empathically or very patiently, we are making a bond. We are connecting to the other person, and then the other person will be ready to listen to us. So if we see here, the first chapter, Arjuna spoke and Krishna didn't speak. But after that, 17 chapters, Krishna spoke. And Arjuna also listened there. Then Arjuna did the cross questioning, but mostly it was Krishna speaking. Because Krishna could connect with Arjuna in the first chapter. The first chapter was hearing. Krishna connected there. So many times in our interaction in the family, we do not try to listen, and we don't try to understand the other person. And I heard a very wonderful saying somewhere. I read it. It was like we listen not to understand the other person, but we listen to reply. I'm listening to a person, and at the back of my mind, I'm creating the answer, what I'm going to reply. Basically, in a debatable mood. So then the arguments, they don't resolve. That was the reason Krishna didn't speak. Krishna gave a chance because Krishna was thinking that if I started speaking, Arjuna is saying something, I will say something, and I may not understand what Arjuna is saying. This will not solve the problem. This will entangle everything. It will make the problem worse. So that's why Krishna listened. So being a parent, being a spouse, being a boss in our professional life, personal life, being a mentor, being a counselor, we can adopt this quality of Krishna of patient listening. Just give me a minute. My laptop just shut. Sorry. Yeah. So Krishna is teaching us a lesson. The third lesson we have here is that we need to seek first to understand the other person before we expect them to be understood. So seek first to understand, then to be understood. I need to develop this quality of patient listening, the hearing, as we all know that in our spiritual life also, it's always said, Shravanam. Shravanam comes first. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth. So we need to listen very patiently. Even in an argument, we should not just start speaking. Listen to the other person, connect with the other person. Because when we have a good connection, when we have a deep relationship, then whatever we will speak, that will have a transformation, that will have an impact on the other person. Even in our preaching, when the good preachers are, Srila Prabhupada taught us, all our acharyas taught us, that a good preaching is when we do it ourselves, when we have it in our own behavior. So Krishna is teaching us with his own behavior that we have to be a patient listener. So if we do not adopt this quality, our preaching will not have any impact. It will only be a downloading of information, but it will not bring any transformation to the other person. So even as a preacher, if we want the other person when Krishna listened, he had a connection, then he could speak 17 chapters, and that brought a big transformation in Arjuna, and Arjuna was ready to fight at the end of the chapter 18. So there comes our next verse. The next verse, verse 2.7, where Arjuna is saying, Karpanya doshopahata swabhava Prichami tvam dharma sammudhacheta yatreya sanya nishchitam bruhitanme shishyate hamsadi mam tvam prapannam. So what Arjuna is doing here? Arjuna is saying that I had all these material contamination, oh Krishna, but now I'm surrendering unto you. So why did he surrender? Because Krishna had a connection. Krishna made a deep relationship with Arjuna, and there came the surrender. There, Arjuna surrendered to Krishna and listened to him after that. So our lesson is that when we have an argument, we should not speak in between. We should not start giving solution in between. We should just keep quiet. It's not like Krishna didn't had any solution for Arjuna, but still he listened to Arjuna for complete first chapter. So there comes our next verse. If we go to verse number 214, and this verse teaches us difficult times. We all have difficult times in our life. If we are in this material world, it's not that anybody can say, oh, I never had a difficult time. If not, if we don't have a difficult time till now, the life is not coming to an end. It's still there. So difficult times will come. Ups and downs are a part of life. We all know that. So in Bhagavad-Gita chapter 2, verse 14, Krishna is teaching us again a very wonderful thing. It says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya shritoshan sukha dukkhida agama paino nityastam titikshasva bharata. So here Krishna is telling that how difficult times should be taken care, how difficult times should be overcome. So there are two types of people. One is circumstantial, another is substantial. So circumstantial people are people, devotees, whatever we want to call, those people, those devotees whose everything, whose performance is based on the circumstances. My life is wonderful. I'm very happy. I have wonderful family. Job or I don't have a job, whatever happens, this is not going to impact my sadhana. I chant my prescribed number of rounds at a particular time in a particular attention. I'm going to do that. I have this hearing to be done every day. I'll hear classes or whatever I do. I'm going to do it no matter what, because I have taken vows in front of my spiritual master. This is substantial. So here in this verse 214, Krishna is telling us, teaching us a very wonderful thing. He says, Agama Paino. These problems, these are like seasons. Sukh, dukh. Good things, bad times, good times, they are all Agama Paino. They will come, they will Agama Paino. They will go away. So just like the seasons, they change without any intervention. Similarly, our life is going to have these ups and downs. Whatever we do, no matter what we do, it's going to happen. So if I have good times today, I should be ready for the bad times also. If I have a bad time today, the good times will come. So this is a cycle. So it's a very common sense thing. We have heard it a lot of time, but I can't stress enough that this is a very, very important thing, even in our sadhana, even in our office life, in our professional life, with our family life, everywhere, that whatever I do, whatever my goals are, my spiritual goals, my professional goals, whatever, if they are depending on circumstances, then definitely our performance, our sadhana, everything is going to go up, down according to the circumstances. So the teaching here, the learning here is that we should not be circumstantial, we should be substantial. We need to have a disconnect. We need to have independent sadhana of these circumstances. We need to have independent performance of these circumstances, because if it is dependent, then we are going to go up and down for the entire life and don't know how many lives even. No. So talking about spiritual life, talking about sadhana, it has to be independent of circumstances. So we need to remember, we need to make ourselves we need to remind ourselves again and again that no problem. If I don't have X thing, permanent. And it's a very wonderful thing, in fact. This thing makes us realize that yes, there is a hope. If I'm in a particular situation, which a very bad situation or very distressed situation, there is a good news. The good news is this is coming to an end, because in this material world, the wonderful thing is nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. So if I have a problem, very wonderful, very good, this will go away. So whatever my actions are, whatever my efforts are to go towards Krishna, my sadhana, or at my work, my performance, I should not allow my circumstances to affect it. I have a vow, I have a particular commitment that has to go on without being dependent on the circumstances. So Krishna is teaching us wonderful thing that understand, remind yourself that this is all temporary, this is going to go away. So relax, don't worry about it. This is a cycle, this will keep on going. So that was the verse number 214. Now if we go to 3 verses after, verse 217, Krishna teaches us wonderful thing about goal setting, our focus in the life. So the verse is 217, which is a very long verse, but if we talk about in summary, this is Vyavasatmika Buddhi. So let me quickly read the verse as well. So the verse is Vyavasatmika Buddhi Ekeha Kuru Nandana Bahushakhayanantascha Buddhayo Vyavasatmiman. So here Krishna is teaching us how our life should be, how focus, or what is the importance of focus in our life. So I believe nobody will disagree that let it be in our student life, let it be our professional life, personal life, wherever, our goal, our focus keeps holds a very important place in our life. So Krishna is telling us very important thing here. Krishna is saying Vyavasai Atmika Buddhi, 3 words. So he's saying Vyavasai. Vyavasai means our occupation. Atmika, myself, my occupation. Buddhi, intelligence. So he's saying Ekehe Kuru Nandana, that, oh Arjuna, a person who has one pointed goal in life, that person is successful. But a person when he is multi-branched, when his buddhi is bahushaka, when his buddhi is multi-branched, that person is never successful in our life. Now we talk about professional life. If I have too many things, I will not be able to achieve my key performance, my KRAs. Similarly, in our spiritual life, in our sadhana, in our devotional life, what is our goal? If we are multi-branched, if we are focused on so many things, I'm focused on social thing, I'm focused on a little bit of sadhana, I'm focused on humanity, and lots of things going on around, and everywhere I devote my mind, I make my mind attached to those or whatever situations are around us. If we keep on thinking of everything, we will not be successful anywhere. We will not be successful as a student. We will not be successful as a devotee. We will not be successful as a parent. Nowhere. So Krishna is saying that our mind, intelligence, they all should be AKA. They should go towards one goal. And we are very fortunate to know that what is our goal. There is a survey where it has been said that only 2% in metropolitan cities, only 2% people know what their goal is in life. Everybody else is just running around. That what we are doing, I'm earning money, I'm feeding my family, I'm feeding myself, I'm just passing my life. You know? And we, being devotees under Srila Prabhupada's shelter, we are so fortunate that at least Prabhupada told us, at least we are aware, if not realized, but at least we are aware theoretically that yes, there is one goal of this human life. And that one goal is to get to lotus feet of Krishna, is to go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada gave us a very wonderful line, very beautiful line, go back to Godhead. So this is our one goal. So if we are focused on that one goal, then we will be peaceful, then we will be successful. But when we are multi-branched, that okay, yes, I have to go back to Godhead, I know, but what about this issue in the society? What about this problem? What about that problem? If we pay attention to each and everything, if we pay attention to all the things around us, if we devote equal time to those, then we will not be peaceful, we will not be successful. So how to do that? Very simple. In Nectar of Instruction, I guess if I'm not wrong, Sri Rupa Goswami, he tells that accept what is favorable to our bhakti and reject what is not favorable. So in one way, we can say that we have one goal, whatever that goal is, whatever is favorable to this goal, I will accept. Whatever is unfavorable to this goal, I will reject. So being a devotee, if my goal is to go to Krishna, go towards Krishna, uplift myself in my spiritual life, then it's very simple. Whatever is favorable to that goal, whatever is bringing me closer to Krishna, yes, I'm going to accept it. Whatever is taking me away from Krishna, whatever is taking me away from that path, I'm going to reject it. Simple example, you know, there is an eatable, there is a food stuff, very wonderful food stuff, a gulab jamun, very simple example, a gulab jamun, you know. Should I eat this gulab jamun or not? Well, if this is offered, yes, this might take me towards Krishna because this is prasad. But if it's not offered, if it's not as per the rules or as per the requirement, it might take me away from Krishna because this is not offered. I should not accept it. If I'm watching something, is it taking me towards Krishna? Yes, I should accept it. Or is it taking me away from Krishna? Okay, I'm going to reject it. Association, what kind of friends we should have, what kind of association I should carry, what kind of people I should talk to. You know? So if there is a conversation, should I involve in this conversation? Again, simple check. Is it taking me towards Krishna? Yes, accept it. It's not taking me towards Krishna, taking me away from Krishna, reject it. You know? So what kind of friends I should have, what kind of food stuff I should eat, what kind of behavior I should have, everything should be focused on one goal. And that goal is go towards Krishna. You know? So Krishna is teaching us here that AKH Kuru Nandana, we should have one pointed goal in the life. You know? So the way we interpret it in spiritual life, we know how it gets interpreted. In student life, yes, when the student has one pointed goal that I have to complete this university exam, this is my one pointed single goal, then yes, Whatever is acceptable, accept it. Whatever is favorable, accept it. Whatever is not favorable, reject it. No? So Krishna is giving us a very wonderful lesson here. So going forward, very, very wonderful thing which can relieve us from all the anxieties we have if we apply it correctly. So that is verse number 47, chapter 2, verse 47, where Krishna says, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फल हेतुर्भूर मा ते संगोस्त्व अकर्मणि. So very beautifully Krishna is again teaching us where should our focus be. No, when we are working, when we are doing sadhana, whatever we are doing, our focus should be on the efforts. Krishna is saying, don't worry about the results. Don't worry. It's not that if I'm working, I should not take salary because this is the fruit. No, the meaning is that if I'm working at the office as an employee, I should not be too much focused on the results. When salary will come, well, salary will come. If I do this activity, will it increase my salary? Or even in our spiritual life, sometimes we tend to focus on fruits. If I do this, will it purify me? If I do this, will it make me a pure devotee? If I hear 6 hours a day, will I become purified? So Krishna is saying, don't be too much focused on the results. Do your efforts. Again, the point is on efforts, because in our efforts are something which is in our control. The fruit, the result is not in our control. So we should focus on what we can do and let Krishna do the rest. So in a tree, when we put a seed in the soil, or there is a tree, the control, or what is more important, the root of the tree or the fruit of the tree? Obviously, the root of the tree is more important, because if the root is healthy, the fruit will come. So that is in our control. We can water the root, we can take care of the plant. Then if fruit comes, wonderful. If doesn't come, okay, that's also wonderful, because there is some plan, some Krishna's plan behind it. So if we have this mentality, if we take care of this verse, if we remind ourselves that my control, my area of influence or area of control is only efforts. I can do my efforts and let Krishna decide what's going to happen, what fruit I will get. Let's say, as an example, we, as a parent, we can teach our kids, or we can give them good environment. We can practice the things which we want them to practice. We can give them all the things we can provide, which are healthy for spiritual life. But at the end, when he grow up, will he be a devotee or not? That's not in my control. So why I should keep worrying that my kids or my children will be devotee or not, will be devotee or not, will be devotee or not? No, I cannot control that. But what I can do is my efforts. I can ensure that we give a healthy environment. We give a spiritual environment to them. We practice what we want them to practice. We can have those efforts. And after that, whether they choose Krishna consciousness as their path or not, or maybe they choose Krishna consciousness as their path, maybe in their own way. So what relationship they have with Krishna, let Krishna decide. Let me just pray. Let's make my effort. So this will give at least one very beautiful thing. We will be chinta mukt. There are two things, chinta mukt and chinta yukt. If we always focus on the fruits, always focus on the result, we will always be worried. And we will not be able to do anything efficiently. So we should become a warrior, not a worrier. not a W-O-R-R-I, but W-A-R-R-I. That's what Arjuna was. That's what Krishna made Arjuna, a warrior. So a warrior can only be that person. That person can only be a warrior who focuses on his efforts. So Krishna is teaching us that focus on your efforts and forget about the results. Forget about the results means let Krishna handle the result. No? So we should not be too much worried, too much focused on what's going to happen out of this activity. What's going to be happen of this activity, what I'm doing. Let it be a spiritual life. Again, a very simple example. After all this, after chanting, after hearing, after association, after serving Vaishnava, will I go back to Godhead? If I too much focus on that, I will not be able to do my efforts which I should do. I will not be able to chant attentively. I will not be able to do my sadhana properly. I never heard, I think, Srila Prabhupada or the senior Vaishnavas, senior Acharyas, or even our Acharyas, the Guru Parampara, saying, will I go back to Godhead? They never asked this question. They always prayed for one thing, please engage me in your service, O Krishna. So when they say, please engage me in your service, O Krishna, they are asking for efforts. That let me do my efforts. Please engage me. They never say, take me back to Godhead. No. So Krishna is asking us that you be free from worry. Krishna doesn't want us to get worried, because if we do our efforts, let Krishna take care of the results. So it's 4:30, I think 5:30 at Ottawa. So we will quickly just wrap up and then we will open the floor for any question if we have. So today we discussed about 8 lessons. I will just quickly recap what 8 lessons we have talked about. The first very lesson we talked about was take ownership and responsibility. So we should be free from the mentality, the wicked mentality of Dhritarashtra, where we see everything away, separated from Krishna. We should take ownership, take responsibility. The second lesson, we must do our efforts, because Krishna did not fight for Arjuna. Arjuna had to fight for himself, for the Krishna. Arjuna had to fight the battle. So Krishna only guided him. Similarly, Krishna is guiding us through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. But we have to do the efforts. Even if we have to go back to Godhead, even if we have to be purified, whatever, but we need to focus on our efforts. Efforts we have to do. The third lesson we talked was we need to seek first to understand. In any relationship, we need to understand the other person. We need to listen the other person, then to be understood. We cannot expect the other person to understand us without listening to them. Unless we have a deep relationship, unless we listen to the other person, we cannot connect. So that's very important. Lesson number 4, connect to the other person, be a good listener. We always try to be a good listener. Lesson number 5, difficult times will come and they will go away also. So we should be circumstantial, we should be substantial, not circumstantial. Our performance, our sadhana, it should not be dependent on circumstances. It should be independent of those, because they are temporary. They will come and go. Lesson number 6, we should be focused on one goal. Our mind will give us many directions. Our mind will pull us in every direction, but we should not follow mind's dictation all the time. We should dictate our mind, but not follow mind's dictation. 7th, we should focus on the roots, not the fruits. If we focus on the roots, fruit may come. But if we do not focus on roots, if we do not do our efforts, then there is a surety there will be no fruit. So if we focus on the roots, fruit may or may not come. But if we do not focus even on the roots, there is a surety that no fruit will come. So Krishna is inspiring us, Krishna is teaching us that do our efforts without too much focus on the fruits. And very important, eighth, which I think missed, is one verse, which is verse number 70, chapter 2, verse 70. That's also a very, very beautiful verse, which gives us our eighth lesson. So the translation of that is, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So Krishna is teaching us here a very wonderful thing is, an ocean has so many rivers coming to it, merging into it all the time. But still, the ocean is very quiet. Similarly, a person who will be peaceful, it's basically a peace formula, that who is a peaceful person? That person which is not disturbed by these waves, by these rivers coming up. How is it? Our mind keeps on bringing millions and millions of thoughts. Every single minute, we have thousands of thoughts coming around, coming or crossing our mind. But should I act on each and every thought, each and every desire? Krishna says no. Again, what is acceptable, what is favorable, accept it. What is not favorable, reject it. So our mind will also have, just like an ocean, we will also have rivers and rivers flowing in. Similarly, our mind will have many, many thoughts coming in, many, many desires coming in. But a person who does not act on those desires will be peaceful, and the person who try to fulfill all those desires will always be not peaceful, always be miserable. So what's the difference between a pure devotee or a neophyte person, or what's the difference between a materialistic and a devotee? Maybe everybody, maybe at the highest level, maybe even the pure devotees, there are thoughts which come to their mind, but we, maybe at this stage, we try to fulfill those desires. But a yogi, a pure devotee, they also have thoughts, but they observe those thoughts as an observer. They do not act on them. So the difference is on the action. If I try to fulfill every desire I have, which is favorable, not favorable, doesn't matter, then I will always be miserable. No? But if I start selecting that what desire I should fulfill and what not, if I don't act on those, then I will be peaceful. So just an example, there will be desires for greed, there will be desires for more money, there will be desire for some lusty desires, so many things. So thoughts keep on coming. No? But do I need to fulfill those desires or not? Do I act on those? Let's say anger. No? So a yogi also might have a thought of anger, and another person will also have a thought of anger. But if I act on that anger, I do action, I actually become angry, I expressed it, I will be miserable. But a pure devotee, he might have a thought of anger, but he doesn't act on it, and this just passes away, because these are the vague. This is the impulse. Once that impulse gone, everything peaceful. No? So Krishna is teaching us here that be an observer. You do not need to fulfill every desire. You do not need to take action on every desire. Then we will be peaceful. That person who doesn't fulfill every desire is peaceful. So that's the last line here, that can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desire. Every desire, if we try to fulfill, the mind will bring more and more thoughts, more and more desires, and we will never be able to fulfill every one of them, and then our life will be miserable. So that's everything which I wanted to share with all of your wonderful devotees. So thank you very much. Is there any question? Please unmute yourself and ask your question. I will try my best if I can answer that question. And I'm so happy to serve all of you. And keep praying for me that I can keep serving. I can go deeper into these scriptures. So really need your prayers. So the floor is up to you. So please unmute yourself if there is any question and we can talk about it.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. This is Surendra.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. First of all, I want to say thank you. It was a very simple class, and I'm very happy that my daughter listened to it for almost 80%, 90% of the time, so which is very good. She is very young, and it was simple, so that's why my wife put her to sit, and she listened to it, which I'm very pleased today. And you made very, very basic points. Out of them, two, I am the offender, is that I don't listen properly, especially to my wife and my daughter. And then sometimes I react out of chinta yukta, which doesn't work, but I have to improve on that part.
I would like to say, Prabhu, I'm offended to all these 8. As I said in the starting, these words is to an attempt to remind myself that yes, these need to be followed.
But one most important point, I mean, you made a lot of important points, but one thing I want to point out here is you said take ownership and responsibility. And what I not recently, means I have been noticing is that in this ownership and responsibility, if there is no relationship and trust, then that responsibility will be very difficult to perform. So it is the relationship and the trust which is making you responsible. We have to look at it from that perspective also. Otherwise, it will be just you will be taking on the responsibility, and it will be more of like a leader than a servant. So I mean, responsibility is very important thing, but if we can maintain a nice relationship and trust, because we are all together here. And it's just recently I heard, and then I've been observing also, so I thought that I will tell you. It's not that you didn't want to tell it, but it was just missing here, so I wanted to add.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And one last point, which I want to mention again is, you said that difficulties will always come, and you use the English word, let me find out, circumstantial, something like that you use.
Yes,
is basically that difficulties will come, and then sometimes our sadhana goes up and down, and if everything is good, we also go good. And what I personally is can tell you is that there are lots of problems in the life, and work everywhere. And the more you go into this, is like one of the Prabhupada's disciples said that the more you think about your body bothers you. So the more I think about difficulties go away, the more difficulty comes to me. I have observed it basically. So in that situation, one has to be champion to not think about the worries. I am not. But the Guru's words and his strength. If a person can understand that particular, the tattva of that, then he can overcome anything basically. And the problem is that 99.9% of the Guru's blessings come in a very subtle, jovial, and in a casual way. And
totally agree.
Zup out. Because in Hindi we say that the lato ke doodh baaton se nahi mante. So as a Baddha Jeev,
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is there?
Guru Prasad Prabhuji, you there?
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
I was looking for Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, it's Adi Shamdas. Thank you very much, Mataji. Very nice, wonderful lecture. Thank you so much. So many practical points that you mentioned. Sometimes, like we read Bhagavad-Gitas, we discuss, but we just we have to learn from that. You know that what Krishna has given some very wonderful instruction, and you made a very practical point that how first of all the listener that very nice quality. I always um, I always try to think on this matter particularly. Mother, you mentioned that Yavasatmika buddhi eke kuru nandana. So what about sometimes in the Krishna consciousness that also we have like multitasking sometimes on different subject matter. So like how we should be how we should particularly in Krishna consciousness keep ourselves focused in different aspect, like if we have different sevas and different service, then how we should be focused.
Prabhu, only one thing is coming to my mind in this regard. I would request to Madhavendra also that please correct me and add if you would like to add after add anything to that. So what I have learned is that whatever we do in Krishna consciousness has one underlying principle to it. Never forget Krishna. Always remember Krishna. Never forget Krishna. So whatever we are doing, that won't be, if it's based on that principle, if it's taking us towards Krishna, I would say it's not Bahushaka, it's not multi-branched then, because we are going
said it correctly and absolutely clearly. It's not multi-branched if it is heading for the same goal. We're always going to be multitasking a little bit in getting to any one goal, even if you're cooking. If you're cooking one prep, you're cutting up and you're stirring and you're frying and you're cleaning up and as you go and various things, but it's all for the purpose of one prep. So we'll never be able to say, oh, I am only going to do cut up. I'm not going to do any other aspect and expect the cooking to work. So it's not really about the tasks that is the problem in the multi-branch thing. It's about the goal, as you've correctly said.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Adisham Prabhu, was it appropriate? Okay. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, anyone else, please? Feel free.
Sorry, Mataji. Thank you very much. It was so wonderful, Mataji. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your answer and for your class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, this is Daniel. I just want to say thank you so much for your class, and I just really appreciated all the points you made. It was very clear, and it was I really liked the point you made about establishing relationship and the importance of establishing that relationship through trust and through listening. So that was really helpful, and it was I never heard that illuminated, from that part of the Gita. So I really appreciate that, and just wanted to say that. So thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
I wonder if we should say something more for Adi Sham's good question. It's not, yes, so that it's correct that all of our efforts to please Krishna and serve the devotees are all, toward the single point. But that doesn't mean we should burn ourselves out doing it. So I think that that's a different aspect, not from the multi-branched aspect, but from the sustainable side. We always need to make sure that we give our full potential, make sure we do everything we can to please Krishna, but also that we do it in a sustainable way so that we won't be collapsed or somehow out of nourishment ourselves, either, in terms of food or sleep or relationships, that we make sure that we're getting fed so that we can keep up the fight, keep up the battlefield of life, as you were mentioning earlier. Adi Sham, is that useful at all?
Yes, Mataji, thank you very much. Thank you for once again you brought into discussion, and thank you so much, Mataji. Yes, you are right. And I also heard that Srila Prabhupada used to say that that the devotee, Krishna conscious person, has to be like all rounder. he has to always maybe it comes to singing, if it comes to the cleaning, it comes to in the kitchen, he has to for the service of the Krishna, he has to ready for each and every time. So yes, thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Adisham Prabhu, it is correct what you said, but the thing is, the point Mother is trying to say, Vrinda Prabhu is trying to say, is in the process of doing it, don't work yourself too much out so that you are not able to sustain. So you need to do, like Krishna says, everything in moderation. So said you cannot afford to miss sleep. You should not oversleep. You should not have also miss sleep. You should not overeat. You should be balanced in everything. So if you are balanced in everything, we can do on a long-term basis. We will do a lot more. So that's the idea. So you will do able to do more service if you are taking care of yourself as well in all aspects. So that is the point. So very nice questions and very, very relevant answers. Some of the answers I was not even thinking about, I think came through. So this is the advantage of having question and answer. So, of course, Mahasundari Radhika Prabhu did a wonderful job. I want to compliment you on that because you extracted the key points out of these first two chapters. So we hope to have you back again because we'll get, I think, a lot more from other chapters as well. So thank you very much.
And I don't want to be a thief by not saying from where I took this. Actually, there is a wonderful lecture by Venu Madhav Prabhu, and his lecture is on name of Vivek Bindra. He's a wonderful motivational speaker, but he's a devotee. And I heard his lecture, and his lecture has wonderful point from Bhagavad-Gita. So that was a source of this discussion of these points, and that's wonderful. So I definitely want to give credit to all my senior Vaishnavas and to his lecture for this discussion. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, Prabhu. Thank you.
I think it's important because this is what we are supposed to do. We learn and we share what we learned with others.
That's great, Prabhu.
So it's a perfect process. So you're doing the right thing. Okay. So anyone else has any other points to add? I think there is something in the chat. Let's see. Yeah, okay. People can look at the chat. Okay. Both are in nice, wonderful lecture, and one should not accept more than necessary. Both are relevant. Thank you for this point in the chat. All right. If no more additions, comments, what we would say is thank you to our guest speaker. I want also to I also want to let you know that we have a program on January 1st. Our original plan was to gather in the temple, but the new situation says that we cannot do that. So it'll be mostly online. And the idea is to have kirtan as well as, if possible, a lecture. So we have someone who we have came to know recently. So this person is, I think, is available to join us on the 1st of January. He is actually currently